Hello everyone, and welcome back to your favorite political satire show, With the Facts. I'm your host, Jack Kessler.
And I'm Thomas Kohler. Let's get to it.
Only 4 weeks into her term, Democrats are already looking to expel Marjorie Taylor Greene, a freshman Republican congresswoman from Georgia who previously endorsed QAnon conspiracy theories and called for the assassination of prominent Democrats. Come on, fellas, only 4 weeks in? Everyone knows the role of the moderate Democrats is to sit idly by while their opponents do whatever they want. Greene is known for pushing conspiracy theories such as mass school shootings being false flags, and recently surfaced videos show her harassing school shooting victims. So fortunately, she was put on a committee where this wouldn't be relevant, right? No. She was placed on the Education and Labor Committee.
But at least she wasn't put on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee because in 2018, Greene alleged that the California Camp Fire wildfires were actually the result of a Jewish-financed space laser. Recently, Greene unironically tweeted that Democrats should be held accountable for their violence-inspiring rhetoric, to which we here at WTF would remind her that, on the internet, everything lasts forever.
On another note, economics. Wall Street has been a hot mess since the COVID pandemic started, but recently they've entered a shit stew of their own brewing again. While to the American public, Wall Street has become synonymous with the financial shenanigans that led to the 2008 financial crisis, this time it's the people who are screwing over the fat cats from Wall Street, and it began with Reddit and GameStop.
Since the pandemic started, many retail stores have suffered due to the lack of customers and shutdown regulations. One of these retail stores is the famous GameStop, who are best known for selling video games, systems, and merchandise at an extremely fair price, while accepting trade-ins of certain games, systems, and merchandise at extremely unfair prices. I gave you guys my entire Assassin's Creed collection, and all I got was $30. Anyway, GameStop, along with other failing businesses like AMC Theaters and BlackBerry, were targeted by hedge funds who looked to profit off of their decline in the stock market via a known short selling.
However, what they didn't account for was the Reddit Wallstreetbets community. These Redditors essentially launched a financial counterattack against the hedge funds, boosting GameStop's stock price to the moon, peaking at $483 per share. With how much they're worth now, maybe GameStop will actually be able to pay more than $50 when I trade in my Xbox. Members of these hedge funds complain that the Redditors acting in unison to boost the stock price is really a form of insider trading and are pressing the feds to act.
So now that they're on the raw side of the deal, Wall Street wants government oversight. It just goes to show that even if you are too big to fail, you never, ever, ever stand between a gamer and their games. Get good, hedge funds! Noobs.
What began 4 years ago with Trump's inauguration speech on the steps of the Capitol building ended last month when his rioting supporters pushed past police barricades on those very same steps. Now, in honor of those 4 baffling and ethereal years, WTF presents Trump's official political obituary in bite-sized form.
January 2017, Trump is sworn in as 45th President of the United States and courts controversy later that month by signing an order banning travel from 7 Muslim-majority nations. This infamous Muslim travel ban is hot news for 3 whole days until Trump notifies the world that the U.S. is withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership just because he feels like it. He is such a Capricorn.
August 2017, Trump begins a high-stakes game of Twitter diplomacy with Kim Jong-un, promising that North Korea will face, quote, fire and fury if it continues to develop nuclear weapons. Phallic analogies aside, the Twitter spat gave us memorable lines such as, quote, little rocket man, and, quote, will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I, too, have a nuclear button.
January 2020. Deciding that he hasn't poked the bear that is the Middle East quite enough, Trump goes all in and kills Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in an airstrike. Iran launches a retaliatory strike at a U.S. base the same day, and it looks like bombs over Baghdad all over again. Thankfully, nothing happens, but try to have some sympathy for the war hawks in Congress, people, because they got absolutely blue-balled.
May 25th. George Floyd dies in police custody in Minnesota, sparking nationwide anti-racism protests. As these protests grow in scale and violence between protesters, police, and civilians increases, Trump pours gas on the fire with his comment, "When the shooting starts, the looting starts."
November 2020. The U.S. presidential election is held and officials declare Biden victor, a result Trump denies to this day. Washington is thrown into turmoil at the thought that Trump's denial could bring about civil unrest, but that could never happen. Right?
January 2021. Encouraged by Trump's claim that the election was rigged against him and riled up by a personal speech from the president, a crowd of protesters storms the Capitol building. After assaulting the police outside, forcing their way in, and making our lawmakers quake and quiver in fear, the rioters muddle around the place and are eventually escorted out. A surreal end to an equally strange presidency.
And with the end of Trump's presidency, Joe Biden's presidency begins. After all of the above, Biden was sworn in as our 46th president, and so far the first few weeks have been boring, which is exactly how the government is supposed to be. As of right now, Biden has concentrated a majority of his efforts into combating the virus, and just the fact that he's willing to admit to the fact that there is a virus and that it can't be cured with Lysol is enough for most of us at this point. Biden has also employed methods previously used by Trump when he was elected and has begun dismantling all of the previous administration's hard work at besmirching our nation. While this may seem like an immature pattern that will be continued throughout our nation's history for however long that may last, at least we can look back at Donald Trump as president and say, he started it.
Well, that's this week's episode of With the Facts. I'm Jack Kessler.
And I'm Thomas Kohler. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.